Hi everybody, just a little update as to what I've been doing for the last week, really. Nothing that you don't know and expect, but I have had a bit of help last week, and here's the video being filmed by that kind person that helped me out for those few days. It gave me a real boost to starting the caging my queens, making splits, putting on the clearer boards, and the starting of pulling the honey. And we have some honey to pull, and it's drying really well. We have the dearth starting now in full swing, really hot period, really nice bit of weather. So I was able to show you this video coming up of me, how I do my basic splits. It's the kind of thing you've seen before, but I go through most things I do about taking 3 frames of bees and brood from the colony. That goes into the nuke, and in the hive that I've taken the bees and brood from goes in 2 partitions and 1 frame that I outlined when I was showing you how to put my nukes together. So it's kind of the next stage of the nuke process, and that's going to be going for the next 2 to 3 weeks. I've got that kind of time to make as many splits as I can, and then I'm queen rearing all the time as well. So I add a bit of queen rearing in as and when we do it. I've already got, I think, 20 cells that are being finished, and I'm going to do another graft tomorrow morning. So by tomorrow, we're only Monday now, by tomorrow I want at least another 20 cells grafted and another 40 nukes done. So I've got to work my socks off now. It is really hard. It is really hot, but it is what it is at the moment. I'm grateful that I have honey to be able to harvest. So because of that, it's given me such a boost this year to know I'm actually harvesting some honey, and that I've got something to work towards. And also, I had an arrival of 2 breeder queens this year. I thought I'd change this year to another genetic. I've gone for another Buckfast queen that's inseminated from Apis dono, and also a Carniolan queen, a Carni that's come from Apis dono as well. They're in Romania, and I've been following them for years. Their queens look really good, so I thought we'll give that a try. So I may be able to get a couple of grafts off them towards in about a week's time maybe, because they're under pushing cages now. And also in this video, I'll add that at the end. You'll see me putting those queens under pushing cages, and you'll see how I introduce them. They're not introduced yet. We only did it 4 days ago. So tomorrow I'm going to see how they're doing, and maybe move the cages once more and see how they're accepted by their queens, and then put a feeder on, blah, 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 to give the colony everything I can to accept those new queens. And also I'm going to give them a frame of emerging brood in about 10 days time, just to swell those nurse bee numbers so that they don't try and supersede her. That is often a problem. But another thing to point out is I've been tidying up here. I know those are nukes I've just finished. They're ready to go. That's the last of the honey frames I've got, but all this has been reorganized. I've got all my old frames now up on the racking, and that's the last of my old nukes ready to be cleaned. So I've still got some cleaning to do, but I'm just working through it. This has all been moved around because we had the good news that I was able to sign the quotes for the mezzanine, the division of the rooms, and the electrical work, and the resin on the floor. So I signed that last week, and in a flash, before the holidays, miracle work has happened. The guys are coming to fit the mezzanine in mid-September. That's ordered, deposits paid. And then the other guys who are going to divide up the rooms with refrigeration type material, in other words, like this, but in a plastic finish, I hope. That's going to be a big square here. So there's going to be 2 doors, one just next to the underfloor heating valves. You can probably just see there next to the sunlight streaming in through the window. And the other door is going to be there. So I've got a storage office, and also that side will be toilet. We're going to have a walk-in shower and toilet on that end. And today the plumber came and fitted all the piping. So all this is in. It's done. We were worried that if we didn't get all the piping in before we started building all the rooms, we may find, for example, that one of the places had a blockage or something and we couldn't pass the pipes in. So example, this is the piping for the sink in the honey house. So that's, at least it's in now. Obviously the conduit was in before, and it went underneath all the way the example to there. But you never know with these things until you put your pipes in, and you never know whether you're going to be able to do that. So we're going to put some extra electrical conduit all the way around the outside, because once the rooms are in, the only way we can do it otherwise is dropping it down, and that makes it awkward. So to be able to feed the whole honey house, the electricity that's going to come into there on that feed there from outside, we will have conduits going either side all the way around the building to feed that cable around, because we've got lights to have at both ends, switches, there's all sorts of things like that. And we're going to try and bring in some home automation that will also help make the honey house really special when I use it. So you can see on the floor, all the positions are marked out for the beams that are going to come down from the mezzanine. This is the wall that divides up the warming room from the extraction room. The extraction room now runs from the door, the double door that you open on the outside will be opening that way, and then it will access the whole room. There's another double door at the far end. I know I've told you this before, but it's all clear now and all in the design of the actual finished product. And obviously the mezzanine's the first thing to go in. You can probably see the two marks on the wall up there. If you look there on the wall, you'll see a bottom white chalk mark on the beam and a top mark, chalk mark. That is the bottom and the top of the mezzanine. So underneath there, they'll be screwing the ceiling insulation to that, and that will make a really big room that's completely insulated, and it'll be really cheap to heat. So all of this is kind of ready just to divide up. This will be the biggest amount of insulation. This is having 100 mil insulation all round and on the ceiling, and it will be heated by underfloor heating. So overall, we've moved forward today just by getting all these pipes in, and then they run all the way down here. So that's going to be for the back of the shower. Then that runs all the way down to the sink over there in front of the sink. That all comes out on the ground, and then behind that it goes all the way to that shelving at the end, and that'll be an external hot water and cold water even there. But I'm thinking also of running them outside here. You can see all the pipes come out beautifully there. There's the two there. I cannot believe that we got them all in. I'm super happy. I know it's a very little thing and it's a bit kind of like geeky, but you know what? This is in now. And because I did a really good job of putting in the, installing the conduits, and I did them in a way that meant that the pipes, the underfloor conduit had a really slow bend in it, we were able to push all the pipes through easily. And that makes such a difference, because the plumber was only here for like an hour and a half. But in that time, we got all the work done, on which a job could have been a nightmare. So here's the video. Hope you like it. That's just an update on here. It's all going to progress. And even though France is about to go on holiday for approximately 4 weeks. I don't know who has 4 weeks off, but everything seems to shut down. Things are happening. Mezzanine is ordered. The guys are booked in to fit the rooms, and that will be happening. The rooms will be fitted probably last week of September, first week of October. But when that happens, things will really change. That will be virtually it. And then we've got resin on the floor. And then the electrician will come in, and because he's a plumber as well, he'll do the electrical and plumbing work at the same time. So I'm hoping to have the majority of it all finished by the end of the year. Because in terms of business, that's my goal, because financial wise, I want to claim back my VAT on all the work I've done, my VAT, my TVA in France we call it, and then I can apply to claim back my grant on all this building, which is going to kick the business over for the next year. And without that, I'm snookered. Then we do the heat pump, which is going to go there. So we've got a heat pump on the outside, a heat pump on the inside, and then a tank that holds hot water and creates hot water from the pump. That also has to have a separate electrical certificate, as well as the one for the main junction box. So it's all pretty complicated, but it's all in the budget, and I'll just be glad when we get there. But that probably won't happen until January, February time, because I have to order it and I've got to have the money to pay for it. So that is like huge cost. But once it's done, guaranteed for 5 years, and it should give me very cheap hot water if I want it, or warm water, and energy to pump through the floor. So here's the video. Catch you again soon. Bye for now. Right, so here we are. We are doing splits, ready to give them queen cells that we're going to make at the same time this week. We've done all this apiary apart from 3. It's been a bit of a hard slog, but that is just beekeeping in the summer for you. So now we're going to do these 2, but we're going to do just one in particular. I'll show you how I make the split. And what I'm doing this time is I'm dismantling the whole colony only once to then take the queen, to take some bees and brood into a box. So that's to make our summer split, and it's only mid-July, well mid to end of July. And then we're putting the bee escape on after we find the queen. And then we only have to come back once to take the honey off. So that's the theory. So we're going to break this one down. There's some good honey on all these colonies. Really pleased this year. This apiary's done really well. There's probably nearly, I'd say 300, 400 kilos of honey at least. So I haven't measured it yet. We'll find that out when we start to pull the honey. So every box is full. Really good. The ones on the top aren't always so full, but these are the ones that went on last. So overall, they're looking pretty good. That was a late box that went on, so considering it was late, they've drawn that out well, and there's honey in this as well. So we're going to take off the top boxes. All the boxes come off, sorry, but only once. That's the theory. And it's a job getting them all off because it's hot. You've been working all day. There's some good weight in there. Stack them up next door, put them on top of an upturned hive. It keeps them clean off the floor, and any bees then go into the roof if they fall. So this is good, nice honey, all capped. This is why I'm pulling this now, just to make a start. I'm making a lot of work for myself because I have to then make sure I get this extracted as quick as possible, because I don't want wax moth going through the supers in the summer. Blimey, that's a good one. Full of honey. Woohoo! This one has generally a little bit less because it's right above the brood nest, and often the bees clear a patch in the frames where there's no actual honey gone in, but often they will fill it at the end if the flow carries on as the queen goes down a bit, but this time we just have a bit of a gap sometimes. But 3 fairly good supers. We say with our dadants when they're full, you might have 20 pounds or 20 kilos per super. So I would say with this it's probably about 40 to 50 pounds of honey, sorry, 50 kilos. So there's a considerable amount of honey off these hives, and it's a real job to crank everything up and keep everybody happy and get the bee escape off, so the queen excluder off at the same time, because it's all so gunked up. Oh man, here we go. Now we need the smoker because they are, woohoo, calm them down a bit. So we're looking to make a nuke. We're looking for three frames. That's 2 good frames of brood and 1 good frame of bees brood, maybe a bit of pollen. And we're hoping to find the queen. I'm not going to take that one for now, because it's not got enough bees and brood on it. That one has got just eggs and larvae and emerging brood, so we don't want that one. The one back here is more brood. There we go, that's the kind of thing I'm after. More brood on that. We're going to make sure the queen's not on here. Doubt she will be on this frame because there's not much room for her to lay. These bees are the type, they're more flyy than they are stingy. If you see, there's no actual banging off my face, they're just all over the place because they're a bit confused. But that's fine. So in goes the first frame. We have a frame of feed in these colonies already. So in goes the first frame. If there's 2 of you doing this, it's brilliant. I have a helper today doing the filming, and before we were making a really good team because we were taking a frame out each, and then we were able to move through the box quicker to find the queen. This is another frame of brood, and there's pollen, and there's a bit of open larvae, but that's ready to be capped. So I'm going to take this frame as well because it's easy to grab.
No queen on that. Second frame in. Get rid of that damn queen excluder, it's annoying. Can't see the queen on the next frame. When you take a frame out, if you can automatically look inside the colony at the next frame, there's the queen here. She isn't marked. We found her because we used a bit of intelligence and looked ahead as you take a frame out. So there's our queen. We're going to, now where's she run to? She's still there, look at that, and she is. Run over the frame, she's a bit of a runner. Just let her settle for a minute before I put this down, because I've got to take my glove off. So we're going to mark the queen. That'll do, she's marked quite well. She's going into the Mo.brew cages. And she is alive and fine. She's doing an imitation of not being happy. We've had to retrofit this cage, but that's fine. There you go, she's walking around in there now. So now we know we've got the queen, we can shake some bees in willy-nilly and not worry about getting the queen in. That's the beauty of finding the queen or having her marked already, so she's easier to find. There's a lot of bees flying, as you can see. So gloves back on. She's now just going to go back into the box, carefully out the way. And about the middle, that's where I like to have my queens. I'm going to take out this frame of brood, and hopefully this will be the third one we need. Look at that, that's fine. Plenty of bees on that. Maybe I'm probably going to use that one. I'll shake this in and use this as a shake. Put that one back in, and where I got the queen from, this one will go back instead. Lots of bees on that as well. And we can do another shake from there to make sure there's plenty of bees in brood. These are actually a little bit runny today, so it's a job to get a lot of bees in the box. I'm going to do another couple of shakes just to make sure that I've got enough bees in that nuke. Obviously some of the adult bees will fly off and some of the nurse bees will stay, but there's plenty of bees, and there's also an awful lot of bees in those supers. So you're worried about shaking too much out the colony. You won't in this scenario because we've got a huge population. I'm not going to shake that last one on the outside there because that's basically mostly drones and they're very runny and it's pollen bound, and we need that pollen in the main colony. So there's our queen. Going to move this one over, give this a shake as well, and then we'll have enough in the nuke. That'll be enough there. And what I do is we go to 7 frame configuration after this straight away, so the winterization is done. There's a lot of bees in the bottom there. We use 2 partitions, one on the outside of the right hand side and one on the left side. That's number 2, and this is number 1 position, so that next spring if they want to build, they go around the partition and start building onto this foundation. So the colony shows you when it needs space, and that's when you can put a super on or do something else. So that is now prepared for the winter. I've also got to quickly find a place for that brood. I'm actually going to put that in another colony after, so we'll leave that there for now because I've had to take an extra week. We have to retrofit these frames. So we had to take a colony out to make space for the one we made already, but that's fine. It doesn't make any difference at all. Now I'm going to put on the bee escape. Classic bee escape that we use with the rhombus. These work really well. I'll come back in 2 to 3 days, lift off the honey. The queens are caged. I note on the calendar at home that when I come back in 21 days, I'm going to have to I'm going to have to release the queens, sorry, in 21 to 24 days. If there's a lot of drone in the colony, when I look over when I take off the bee escapes, I'm going to give them 24 days, which I probably will anyway, because it just makes things easier. So this is a little trick I do as well. If you're putting supers back on, please do this. Please smoke all the bees off. Clean away any loose honey, because if you jam the bees as they're trying to clean, they will sort themselves out. If you don't do this, when you come back to harvest your honey, you'll have bees stuck in all the honey here. and it will be rotten bees. So just try and get them off, and try and get off a lot of this burr comb, because you might lose a bit of honey, you might create a bit of robbing in the apiary, but the bees that you flick off will come back and they will help clean the rest up, but they won't remove any dead bees. They just stay there. So get rid of them now, get rid of the burr comb before they cause that problem. You've got to work a bit quick, and if there's 2 of you, I said it's much better. So that's one super. These are just full of honey. Oh. 2. Second one on. A lot of burr comb here. Let's quickly take this off while it's clean. Try and collect some of this up if I can. There's not actually much honey in this, it's more just wax. And I can put the other one straight back on here and it should be fine. Man, these bees are just so prolific. Third one on, a Lightoff Super. And this is a smaller box. You sometimes see my roofs are all skew width. That's because the boxes I have are old and they don't fit all the supers, because they're old supers. So I have to put the roofs on sideways, which isn't ideal. But the biggest problem is if you don't seal the roof once you put the bee escapes on, you're going to create problems for yourself. So what I do is I use my feeder trays to seal the roof. But I make sure that any wax on it, so if you look at that now, when the roof is on, I will come and check this in a minute, but when that roof is on properly, it seals that down. Because if you isolate this, which we've just done with the bee escape, it's basically fair game to be robbed out. It becomes a separate unit. And before I leave, we're going to go around the entire apiary just watching the boxes to see if there's any bees coming out of anywhere that shouldn't be. Because if I come back in 2 days, I'll lift this off and this will be empty. They will rob that out, all that lovely honey, in 2 or 3 days, and you'll come back and it's heartbreaking. They won't do it all, but you just got to be careful you don't miss any. So I might put a bit of tape on there. We'll just check the boxes, but in a half an hour or so it'll be easier to do that because I'll be settled down more. So that's how I make a split. Here's my split done. Shake these other few bees in. That's all we need in there. Straighten that out. On goes the roof. All that brood will hatch out. And we'll add a queen cell. This time we're going to do cells where we add 2-day-old cells in this case. And that will mean that they can raise their own cell with the genetics I want. So, and it's a nice cloudyish day but still warm. The bees are all active, but they're not giving us grief. It's not too stinking hot, and that's how basically I make a nuke. On goes the roof with the cover board and all the other bits. The queen excluders are now off. Another thing that's out the way, it's all extra sealing of that roof to make sure that you don't get anything robbed out before you come back. On goes all that, and that roof sits down nice and firmly, holds everything down. This goes in the truck, and I've got a frame of brood to use in another nuke after. So there you go, that's that done. 3 more to do here, and we're out of here.
This afternoon I'm going to put 2 queens into 2 nukes. Those ones, one there and one there, because these are breeder queens that I've got from Apis Dono this year. So I've got a inseminated Buckfast queen and an inseminated Carnica. But I've invested in these 2 so that we've got some good breeder queens to use, and I'm hoping to do a couple of grafts off them this year. So they're going in now, and I'm going to be grafting in the next 2 and 3 weeks. So that will be a good stock to use. And then when that mates with the reasonable stock I've got flying around here, hopefully that'll be good. So what I'm going to do is, to kind of guarantee to get accepted, well, to hope, you never know, I'm going to use 2 push-in cages for each one. The nukes were only made recently, so they haven't had a chance to draw queen cells yet. But what I'm going to do is I've made the 2 nukes, first of all, from a similar stock that's very calm. When I made them, I allowed all the flying bees to go back to the colony. So I left the 2 boxes open for ages. So literally all the flying bees went back. So what was left was just nurse bees. So I'm going to put them under a pushing cage for about 4 or 5 days. I'm going to come back and look at them and see how the bees react to her. And then before I release her, I'm going to check through the whole colony for queen cells, because that will be the last chance they have to draw any up. And if there's any that aren't drawn up, it's too late to make a queen cell, because there'll be no viable larvae. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a frame of emerging brood in about 10 days, because the young nurse bees in those 2 colonies will be moving into be older bees, and there'll be no young nurse bees hatching. And that to me is the key time when you might get supersedure, and supersedure of a beautiful breeder queen that cost me 120 bucks each plus postage. So there's our Buckfast queen. We'll do this one first. Beautifully marked. So this is a nice frame of brood. I've just pulled out the colony. It's emerging, but what I like is there's some nectar in this brood, and there's some emerging bees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all these bees that are on here, but I don't want a whole load to emerge straight away. I just want a couple, and this pattern will be ideal. So if I put the cage on kind of like that, it will give just the right amount of bees with nectar, but not too many bees. Sometimes I've overloaded it and you almost get too many bees, but that's kind of ideal, hopefully. So we're going to get this one under first, but I'm going to go in the cab just to take her out, because it takes the pressure off me. You can catch her, but I'd rather not have her fly. So I'm going to pop in the cab, get her out, put her under the cage. That's one done. We'll get a frame of brood out for this Carnica afterwards. So she is under. Got nectar in the cells for her to drink until the first bees come out. If, when I finally release her, there isn't any aggression, I'll leave her. But if there is, I'll move her again, because there's plenty of emerging brood to a second section. So she is in. We'll pop that back in the colony now. I've marked the frame so I know where she is on that side. And then we can just leave her now. Make a note of the date today, and we'll give her about 4 or 5 days, have a look, check she's being looked after well. But to be honest, after this, there's not much you can do, but it's pretty much taken that she will be looked after. Whether they might try and bite and sting her for a while through the cage, they might well do that, or alternatively they might not. But that colony is now queenless, so hopefully they shouldn't be too long before they start to accept her. And anyway, the new emerging bees will smooth that all over, and we've got rid of a lot of the aggressive bees because they were allowed to fly. So we've got these nice young nurse bees running around that have just been born. That's what we want, lots of those. Let's pop this one in. That's one done. And we're also going to put a feeder on in a day or so, just to keep everything sweet, literally. So that queen is now caged. Hopefully she's safe in there. And this is a colony I've just bought here. It was made queenless this afternoon. So hopefully they won't be too aggressive towards her, and we'll see what happens. But we will do everything we can to keep this colony sweet. As I said, there's emerging brood emerging all the time, and we will just see how that gets on.